Hey guys, welcome back. Today is day 10 of our 12 days of Christmas cookies and treats. And I have probably the most popular treat on my blog for Christmas time. And that is everyone's favorite, I think it's Santa's favorite, and that is Gumdrop cookies. It is an easy recipe. It's actually grandma's recipe. And I've had it on the blog now for, gosh, it was one of the first recipes I put on, so maybe 8 years, maybe 9 years. It's a wonderful recipe. The recipe does make a ton of cookies, so actually cut it in half. And I expect we'll get about 24 cookies out of this. Maybe not quite, but pretty darn close. Before we get started though, let me walk you through what we're gonna need for the recipe. And we're gonna start off with some sugar. We have brown sugar and white sugar. We have flour, just all-purpose flour, vanilla, pure vanilla extract. I have an egg, some butter, baking soda, baking powder, and salt. We have coconut, gumdrops, of course, and oatmeal. You don't want instant oatmeal, you want the old-fashioned oatmeal for this recipe. And that's all we're gonna need. So let me kind of adjust my workspace here and we'll get started. Okay, I think we're about ready to go. Before we get started though, I just want to tell you I have my oven preheating in the background. It's preheated to 375 and I actually started it about 10 minutes ago. I want to make sure it's well heated, that the heat isn't fluctuating a little bit. That's what works best when you're actually baking. And today we're actually doing some baking. So anyway, I'm going to take just a bowl. I'm going to add my flour to the bowl. And this is the salt, the baking soda and baking powder. And I'm just going to sprinkle that in and set that aside. Grandma's recipe does call for sifting it, but I found that whisking it together with a whisk seems to work pretty good. All right, that's all we need to do here. So I'm just gonna set that aside. You know what, I think I'm gonna set it over here. And then next up, we do our wet ingredients. So this is going to be, we're gonna add our butter, white sugar, brown sugar, and vanilla. So I'm gonna start off by cracking that egg. Put him in there. Set that aside for a minute. And then our butter, and this is a half cup of butter. Again, you'll see all the ingredients below. It's gonna show like a double recipe, or actually that was Grandma's recipe. She didn't do, I'm just doing a half recipe. But so you're gonna see the ingredients are a little bit different. Just kind of keep in mind, it makes a ton of cookies. Normally, I would use my mixer, my KitchenAid mixer for this, but I want you to be able to see what we're doing. So I'm using my hand mixer today. The KitchenAid mixer though is gonna make it a lot easier. So, all right, let's get started. First, we're gonna cream that egg and the butter together. And get started on that. And while that's incorporating, I'm going to add my brown sugar and the white sugar. And we're just creaming this all together. Even though it's an actual baking recipe, you guys will appreciate it because it's really pretty easy. And this is another one where the kids can have fun doing it with you because, you know, if you decide you want some extra dots on it, the kids can put some extra dots on the top, right on the tops of the cookie, so that makes it super fun. Okay, so this is almost creamed together. And I'm gonna add the vanilla. And I just need half teaspoon of vanilla. Yeah. You know, sorry, I can't see anything close. With my glasses, I can't see anything far away without, so Okay. Half teaspoon of vanilla. Put that aside. And then I'm just going to incorporate all this till it's super creamy. I'll be back in just a minute. See how nice and creamy that is? That's what we're looking for. And now we're going to incorporate, add about half, maybe about, let's just add a third of our flour. We're going to mix that in, add another third of the flour, going to mix that in, and then the last little bit. And why in heaven's name I chose to wear black today, I have no idea. I don't think it was the best choice on my part. Anyway, okay, so this is done. Let me just get rid of these real quick. And the next thing we have to do is just to fold in our dry ingredients. And this is the flaked coconut, old-fashioned oats, and this is actually a cup of gumdrops, but I'm gonna only want to add about half of that because, again, I cut the recipe in half. And what I like to do with some of them is like cut them in half, so I might end up doing that because we want every bite of the gumdrop cookie to have gumdrops in it. And this just takes a minute. The dough is going to feel kind of stiff, and that's okay, but we want to incorporate all those yummy things into it. Let me grab a spoon. This one works really well. Yeah, that'll be easier. Because it seems like it might be a little dry, but it's not. It's going to be perfect. Wonderful. Just about all my oatmeal is incorporated into the dough. And that will be lovely. Okay, so this recipe calls to bake on a cookie sheet without parchment paper. And I don't remember if I use for the life of me, a non-stick cookie sheet or just a regular, like plain old cookie sheet. So I'm gonna do one batch on a non-stick cookie sheet. I'm just looking for my little squeezy thing. Hang on. So we're just going to add all of our cookies to the cookie sheet. And we want to make sure, of course, every cookie has obviously gumdrops in it. And just trying to remember, it's been a while since I made this recipe. Let's just do this the old-fashioned way. And I see that one, I could feel a gumdrop in it. So I might want to still place one on the top just to make sure, because you can't have gumdrop cookies without gumdrops. Okay, I'm going to do all this. You hang tight. I'll be back in just a moment. Okay guys, I just went ahead and used my hands. It was just the easiest way to go. I'm going to wash my hands. I'm going to put these in the oven. It's going to take between 10 and 12 minutes. And until they get golden brown, they're going to be a little crispy on the outside and soft and chewy on the inside. I'll be back. See where I took those extra gumdrops and I just tucked them on the top of the cookies? That'll make them look like stained glass. That's gonna look super cool. Okay, my timer just dinged for the first time, and I just thought I'd come back and give you a quick tip. And that is, if you are the type of person that doesn't do a lot of baking, make sure before you use, you pull out the baking soda and the baking powder, to check the dates and make sure it hasn't expired. Usually I'll go ahead and buy a new can of each, because after all of this work and the expense and heart that goes into making all of these ingredients, you want to make sure they're going to work. So for the extra $6 or whatever it is in your area that something like this costs, it's definitely worth doing. And I'm not talking about the brand that I use. It's just like, make sure they're fresh and good. Anyway, let me get the cookies out of the oven. I'm going to put this tray in the oven, let them cool for a few minutes, and I'll be back. Don't these look amazing? Okay, gonna let them sit on the cookie sheet for a couple of minutes. Gonna watch my other cookies, they're in the oven now too. And I'm gonna take these off after 2 minutes, put them on the cooling rack for them to cool. Watch my other cookies. And we're about ready to finish up these cookies and taste test, the most important thing. Okay, so I just pulled the last batch out of the oven. All told here, we're gonna have 20 cookies. And I made them really generous, so you could certainly get 24, 2 dozen out of this. And that was with me having the recipe. So just something to keep in mind. I cooked the first batch on a non-stick. I cooked the other one just on my old aluminum pan. Both cooked up really nicely. So again, I'm gonna let these chill for about 2 minutes. I'm gonna take them and remove them and put them on our cooling sheet, and I'll be back so we can taste them. That's the best part. Okay guys, what do you think? I actually had to brew a cup of coffee for this. These are amazing cookies. I haven't made them in a long time, but they're crispy on the outside, like that perfect golden brown, and they're soft and chewy on the inside. All you need is a cup of coffee with this one, or a glass of milk. The coconut makes them super sweet, but the brown sugar in the dough keeps them soft and chewy. The flavor's amazing. And now it's just time to build my next cookie sheet, or cookie tray to take to the neighbors. They've done well this year. My neighbors have. I hope you give these cookies a try. I do think they're perfect for Christmas Eve, to set out for Santa with a glass of milk for the kids, and they'd have fun putting them together and dotting some of those gumdrops on the top of the cookies too. They're just phenomenal cookies. I hope you give them a try. I hope you enjoy them. Now don't forget, head over to the blog. It's www.bowlmeover.com. These have been on there forever. There's some great tips on there. There's some good FAQs on there. So, if you have a question, head over, check it out. If you don't see the answer to your question, drop a note. I will respond to you just as soon as possible. And do appreciate your support. Happy holidays, my friend. We'll see you tomorrow for another great cookie recipe.